with a horse who has not proven that he can't run. The ones that have raced, you can make a case for a couple of them coming off some class drops and such, but when I look and see a horse by Animal Kingdom who won our signature race here, and out of a Kitten's Joy mare named Katura for Ken and Sarah Ramsey, Mike Maker, Rafael Hernandez, and I see the horse debuting at 8-1. I have to jump all over this horse. 8-1 on Mike Maker and Ramsey on a well-bred maiden here is almost unheard of here. So I'm going to take a swing for number 8 coming up Roses at a big price, 8-1 on top, just because Maker does hit at a pretty good clip here always, and especially with firsters, he does very well in these maiden claimers. So I'm going to put that one on top. Number 7, Florida Flash, is the only other one in the race really that I think has some decency to his form and recency. In fact, on December 1st at Churchill, rallied from off the pace, was fourth, beaten just about 6 lengths, and time before ran a similar race for the same level there at Churchill. Now, for third, I'm going to go for number 5, Yay For Me. This is the son of Shackelford, who debuted here at Turfway and was 9th, beaten 21 lengths. Excuse me. Now, that one had a very awkward beginning and stretches out here. I think he'll appreciate the added distance and the drop in class here. He coming out of the race against High Holy. High Holy came back and dominated a non-2 allowance for the restricted 3-year-olds and other than. I expect to see High Holy here in the Battaglia later on here in just about 3.5 weeks here at the track. And so I just think this one's been keeping good company. Coming out of the same race as the 4, Mr. Carson, who is the morning line favorite. In fact, this horse, who is 15-1, beat Mr. Carson by just over 20 lengths. So 51 versus 5-2, I have to take the 15-1, 875 for me in the opener. Maybe you could make a case for the 3, Major Silas, if you're going to play some exotics. This is another one that had a very tough trip last time, a troubled trip, and makes a class drop for a very good barn. If you're playing the tries and supers, I think you want to throw that horse in. But my top 3 are 8, 7, and 5 in the opener. Now, race number 2 every night here at the track starts the 50-cent pick 4. It's an early pick 4, races 2, 3, 4, and 5, and just a 14% small takeout in here. And this is a bet that we put together a ticket tonight. I think it's going to be about $20 or $30 when it's all said and done. I'll have that ticket to you here prior to the second race. But in the second race, it's for horses who have not won a race on the Turfway surface since January 23rd. So in a full 12 months for restricted horses, I'm going to go for a horse who hasn't won in a long time, but has been facing much tougher than anybody in here. That's the newcomer, number 11, Modern Tell, ships up from South Florida. Comes into the Hancock stable, who's hitting at a very high percentage here, I think around 40% here in the win column. Modern Tale is making the first start for the barn. Should get a decent pace scenario set up. And at the 6 furlong distance, I think this horse will come running late. It won't be as close to the pace as usual, but I do think there's a lot of speed in here to set up for this one's late running style. The class drop, I have to like the horse a bunch in here, and number 11, Modern Tale, for those reasons, is my top pick in the race. Now, for second, I'm going to go for the 2-for-1 angle from the Marsal and Livers barn. Number 1, J-Rock, and the 1A Between Here and Cool. Of the 2, the 1A Between Here and Cool, I think, say much standout. If he was scratched, I wouldn't use the other horse. But 1A Between Here and Cool, I'm going to take the 2 for the 1 angle. But that's the better horse to me. He's a 10-year-old, 20-time winner from just 60 starts. He's 37 for 60 in the money. He won 5 times in 2019. None of them here, but he has won 15 times on the synthetic in his 35 starts. So horse loves the synthetic. Race here last start for the Cipriano Contreras barn, exiting a 5th place finish in the starter to Edge Rocket, who will be our best play of the night later on in the card. But came back in a conditioned nickel race, was 4th, beaten 4 lengths, and was kind of wide around there, but I think will benefit from a trip over the track and benefit from a good jockey change to Rodney Prescott. Now, number 3, Just Enough Tough, Lauren Diego claimed this one 3 starts back for the $7,500 level at Churchill, where he showed speed and faded, was 6, beaten about 6.5 lengths, came back for 12.5, and ran a very good race here at Turfway, was 3rd, beaten a length to Hemp Hemp Hooray, who was claimed out of that race from the Wesley Ward barn. Hemp Hemp Hooray in his next start came back here in the stake race here last Friday, and I think he was 4th. He may have been 3rd, but he was definitely on the board, and then he came back in the starter at the route distance and just didn't run very good. But turning back to the short distance, I think that the horse is a must-use for Mr. Lauren Diego. 11-1-3 in race number 2 for me. Now, the third race starts at single six jackpot I spoke of. It's a 20-cent base bet. It is a jackpot wager, but there is a carryover of $9,915 into this wager. And I think there is a single free space in the opening leg. So if you're playing, there's already free money in the pool. We've made the 20-cent pick 6 to a 20-cent pick 5 because I think the first race is a free space. I think number 5, Edge Rocket, is a complete swish. Edge Rocket 5-2 on the morning line. I hope we get 5-2. This one was a dominant winner against Similar last start here at Turfway, going 6 furlongs and stretches out to the 6.5 furlongs. That doesn't bother me. This one was a, like I said, runaway winner and dominated several horses that's in this race today. And when looking at the pace scenario, there's a couple of horses maybe with some speed to the inside of him, but I don't think there's any that can sustain him. I think if they run alongside him for too long, they're going to backpedal quickly. Now, number 9, Glad to Be Here. This one exits a very good win in a starter allowance here, but that was going a mile. The horse is turning back to a distance I don't think is his best lick at the 6.5 furlongs, but I think he is a good horse, and I think he's definitely a must-use behind Edge Rocket, my play of the night. Now, number 6, Blue Mesa, was claimed for $8,000 last start, where he rallied from off the pace to win and run a pretty good number. And the horse, another reason I like the horse, he's a 3-time winner from 7 starts, and we've noticed a trend throughout. When horses like this track, they run over this track, and it doesn't really matter what level. I don't mind this horse is taking a step up into a starter allowance, and I don't mind that he's at the 6.5 furlong distance. And I have to use the horse Blue Mesa for Derek Bright. 5-9-6 in race 3. That does start the single 6. Again, that jackpot's carryover better than $9,900. 34 minutes to race 1. We'll talk about the 4th race. It's a maiden of 5 claimer to go 6 furlongs. I think you can limit this race down to a couple of horses if you're playing those pick 3s, pick 4s, and rolling doubles. Even to Edge Rocket back into here, you can probably make a bigger ticket than normal. I think it's all about the 6 and 2. Number 6 is a class dropper with Johnny McKee for Brian Michael. This one ran in a maiden special weight last start here at Turfway. Now, this one was coming off a few-month layoff. Only got beat 14 lengths to Loving Moment and Frills. Frills is back in, I think, tomorrow here at the track. So this one ran a very good race, and even the race at Kentucky Downs wasn't all that bad. 15 lengths. I know she was 11th. I know she's 5 years old, only making her 6th start in her career. But I think on the class drop, it's the key here. Brian Michael, you can never throw out. And, of course, Brian won that stake event here early on in the meeting. I think back on December 31st, in fact. But Lady of the Max is one I think that you'll have to key on top in race number 4. The only other horse I think is a threat to her is the one coming from Andrew McKeever's stable. That's number 2, Moments to Savor. She's a daughter of Super Saver by a Summer Bird mare for Brennan and the All in Line stable. She was 4th, beaten 11 lengths for the 15 level last start. That was going a mile and 16th. Now we turn back to the 6 furlong. My only knock is the inside post. But when I look at the rest of the field, I have to use the horse even though it is drawn inside. Making a class drop, the horse has made almost $8,000, been 2 times a third out of 7 starts, and I think a benefit of the trip over the track and turning back to the 6 furlong distance, that is the reason I like her in the 2nd spot. Now, 3rd, number 11, Dusty Miller. This one comes in from the Chicagoland area for D. Polis, and has only made 1 start on the synthetic, and that was her last start at Arlington, where she was 9th, beaten 10 lengths with E.T. Baird. Edgar Perez, our go-to rider, has the call tonight. Now, this one is a 12-time maiden, but is consistent sort. She always is right there, usually runs 4th, as you'll see in her form, but I think numbers-wise, I think she fits underneath. She's the best of the rest. After you get past the 6 and the 2, I like her the best, 6-11 in race number 4. Now, the 5th race here at Turfway is another race that starts a multi-race wager. It is a pick 4. Again, race 5. It starts a 20-cent pick 4, just 14% takeout on that wager. I think you can attack this race or the sequence, and you may want to spread in the opening leg, but you can go a little shorter maybe in the next legs. But this is a non-2 $15,000 claimer to go a mile to kick off the late pick 4. Again, just 14% takeout. Number 8 to Lucky Bodie for Mike Maker for Perry and Denise Martin. Now Rafael Hernandez is up top. This one is making a class drop. Last start was 5.5 to 1 here at Turfway and ran a dismal performance. That was back on December 13th and was 8th, well beaten that day, but makes the drop in class. When Maker does that, he hits at a big number. Throw that race out, go back to the 40 ball at Churchill when it was 5th, beaten 3 lengths for the 40 non-2. That race, if he repeats anywhere close to that race, I think he handles this field today. Now, I know he's raced 22 times with just one win, but Lucky Bodie at 6-1, I have to use this horse on top. Now, number 9, Flew Ellen for the Ben Colebrook stable is my second choice. This is another one dropping in class. In fact, is coming out of the same race as my top pick. In fact, he beat my top pick last start, but gets a break in weight today, so is a 5-pound swing from last start. And Joseph Ramos rides for Ben Colebrook, who's doing very well at the meet. In fact, I think Ben's 70% in the money at this winter spring meeting in Flew Ellen, son of Temple City, on the class drop, my second choice at 4-1. Now, a horse I like a lot in here is number 5, Moonster. He's 10-1 on the morning line. He gets the blinkers on. It is not notated in the program, but there is a late change. Number 5, Moonster, gets the blinkers on, and that will put this horse right up and near the lead. And he's 10-1 on the morning line from Brad Kelly's Calumet Farm, and Abel Toscano up top. Now, this one has been facing some serious company in his form here. You see he exits a dismal performance last racing at Churchill, but prior to that, the race at Keeneland was okay. And you go to the bottom of the form, this horse ran the Sam Davis and then came back in the Jeff Ruby Stakes right here over this surface. He was third, beaten 4 lengths. That, to me, is his best race on his entire form. That third place finish in the Ruby in behind Some Like It, Hot Brown, and Dynamic Racer. They thought enough of that to take him to the Bluegrass, and didn't fare so well. And kind of his best race after that was in that 15 on 2 where he's 5th, beaten 8 lengths. Ran a pretty good number that day, but returns to the Polytrack where he ran one time in a greatest stake event, was 3rd, beaten a length. He's 10-1, gets the blinkers on. Jose Fernandez is a very good trainer, and I think this is one that you must use, 10-1. I'm excited for race number 5 here at Turfway Park. Now, we're through the first 5 races on the card. We're going to take a little break and come back for the final 3 races and the changes on the rest of the program. But first, ladies and gentlemen, I ask that you please rise. Kindly remove your caps as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into Turfway Park. The windows are open. We have an 8-race program scheduled for tonight. Temperature in Florence, Kentucky, 45 degrees, and the Polytrack is fast. A couple of carryovers we'll get to later, but first, if you'll take out your racing programs, I'll give you tonight's late program changes. Race 1 starts at pick 5 with just 15% takeout, no changes. Race 1 is clear. Race number 2 started the early pick 4. Be aware that there's an ownership correction on the 3. Just Enough Tough should read Diego Racing Stables LLC, and the principal is Lauren Diego. Scratch number 6, Xandar, and scratch number 9, Cedar Creek. Second race, scratch numbers 6 and 9. Third race starts a single six with that $9,915 carryover. There is a change scratch. Number 10, Truckette. Number 10, Truckette has been scratched from race 3. Race number 4 on the program. Scratch number 13, Too Short. Race number 4, scratch the 13, Too Short. In the 5th race, please be aware that contrary to the program, there is an equipment change for number 5, Moonster. Number 5, Moonster will be equipped with the blinkers today. Blinkers go on, number 5, Moonster. Scratch number 11, Pioneer Dancer. Scratch number 13, Shine On. And draw a line through number 14, a Sunday Drive. So scratch 11, 13, 14. In the 6th race, there is a ownership correction for the 7, Minneapolis Miracle. Should read Robert E. Lindgren. No changes in the 7th, the 8th and final with that high 5 carryover of $6,910. That's a dollar-based bet. There are 2 changes. Scratch number 8, Chicken or the Egg. Scratch number 12, C Serenade. 8th race, scratch numbers 8 and 12. Well, those are the changes at this time. Any changes coming in throughout the balance of the program, I'll get those to you as they do so. Polytrack is fast. First post in 25 minutes. Welcome back to the Turfway pre-race show, ladies and gentlemen. We got through the first 5 races prior to the break. We have 3 races left to talk about. Again, 24 minutes to post for race number 1. Of course, the Polytrack is fast. 6th race is a maiden special weight with a purse of $46,000 to go a mile. I love a horse in here. Overlooked on the morning line, number 5, Hold the Flight. He's 10-1, and this one debuted on December 14th. Now, he was 11th way back, and he was wide through the far turn run, wide down the lane, just missed, should have been second. Nobody was beating the winner. Now, that winner that day was a horse making his stateside debut for Chuck Fipke and Ethan West. His name's Town B, and he crushed. He came back when his next start, Town B, I'm speaking of, in a non-2, and he freaked again, and he ran a big number. I think he ran a 3 on the sheets, and in his last start, well, this horse ran behind him. He should have been second that day. Now, the horse is stretching out to a mile distance. His breeding shows me he can go long. The way he ran in his premier race, or his debuting race, it showed that he may have needed more ground. Nobody was getting to the winner, but this horse should have been second. He was 60-1. He'll be nowhere near that today. He's 10-1 on the morning line, and this one, number 5, Hold the Flight. If he likes the distance, I think the horse is gonna dominate this field at odds of 10-1. Luan Machado back up top. Again, Town B was much the best winner, and he came back and won. So the horse has been keeping good company, and he did have an excuse. He was allowed to get way too far back and was too wide. But hopefully Luan Machado learned something from that. He knows the horse a little better now, and we'll be able to get a price. 10-1 is my top pick. Now, number 3, All Out, 5-2 on the morning line for Ray Hernandez. This one was up and after the pace in a race won by Tommy Van Berg's JVB, named after, of course, his legendary Hall of Fame father. And that one was making its first start over the synthetic and ran a very good race. And I'm going to use the horse second. I'm going to try to beat the favorite in here. And then, of course, another horse in there that I like that you have to go to is number 1, Made in America. Now, he's a first-time gelding, which I like. Comes from a good barn. We spoke about Colebrook earlier. He's doing very well here at the track and is very well bred. Now, the horse is bred for a route of ground. Debuted at Churchill in a very tough maiden special weight. Now, that horse that won that day, Super Comet, came back and crushed in a 1X in his subsequent start. Then after that, Super Comet came back in the Amsterdam, I think, at Saratoga and was 4th and ran a pretty good race. So there's no Super Comets in this race, but Made in America at 6-1, I think is a must-use here in race number 6. And I'm going to go 5, 3, and 1 and hope for those prices to come in race number 6, which does start the final rolling pick 3 on the card. Now, the 7th race starts a late daily double, and in race 7 there are no changes. My top pick in here is a horse that's on a 2-race win streak. That's number 6, Terrazzo. He just crushed a field in a similar race, a first level optional 25,000 claimant allowance here at Turfway last start. And Terrazzo has raced here 9 times. He's a 4-time winner here at Turfway, and he has 8 first, second, or third place finishes out of 9 starts here at Turfway. You have to like the horse. Comes from a good barn, Mike Maker, and Rafael Hernandez has the call tonight. Terrazzo 2-1, my top pick. Now number 9, Knee Deep in Snow, raced here at Turfway on December 6th. In a first level allowance race, was third, beaten 3 lengths to Silver Seeker. Now Silver Seeker exited the Turfway win, went up to New York and won a non-3 state bred allowance race, and he did it in style up there. So this one's another been keeping good company. Prior to that, he was a dominant winner at Churchill Downs, and what I like the most since then, he's came back. You'll see on the bottom of the program there on January 10th. He had a 5/8 drill, 59-3. That was the first of 19 here that day. They wanted to get another trip over the track. Now, Shelby Reese, they aren't stabled here. They're stabled at the training center in Lexington, so they elected to ship that horse just over an hour up here to prep for this race, and the horse loved the track. So Knee Deep in Snow, 8-1 in behind my top pick. I like those odds. I hope I get 8-1 on Knee Deep in Snow. And for third, I'm going to go for another 2-for-1 angle, but I do think the 1A, Perfectly Majestic, is by far the better of the two. I'm going to draw a line through that race. Nobody was beating Moon Over Montana. Moon Over Montana was a runaway winner in that race. Now, he's coming back off short rest. Now, I think that was last Thursday, so just 7 days off. But prior to that, that race where he's beating a link to Unmoored for the $40,000 2 other than here was a very good race. If he can repeat that, I think he can run at the bottom of the ticket. But I'm all about the 6 and 9 here in race 7. 6, 9, 1, my top 3. Now, the 8th race every night here at Turfway offers a wager called the High Five. It's where you pick the first 5 finishers. It's a $1 base bet, and if you do so, generally you'll get paid. Now, tonight there is some free money in the pool, $6,910 already in there, up for grabs, and I think you can single in your first spot. Now, I'm going to single number 6, Barton Hall, in my first spot, and also probably in my late pick 4 and at pick 6 as well. She's a 4-year-old daughter, Noble Mission. She's taking the blinkers off today, and last start here at Turfway for 7,500. She ran on, was second, beating 4 lengths to Pat Huffman's I Saw Her first. Nobody was beating her that day. So the horse has some consistency. Taking the blinkers off, was a little bit wide through the stretch last start, but that doesn't bother me. What I do like, the horse is turning back to a flat mile. I think that'll be just right up her alley. She's 3-1 on the morning line. And after that, I think it's spread. If you're playing the High Five, you'll have to put together a string of numbers and just hope you can get through the first couple of spots. Maybe go 1 by 4 by 4 by all if you can afford it, or just use as many horses as possible. Now, there's a couple scratches, so you can shorten up the ticket quite a bit with that single in the first leg and it only being a 10-horse field. So I'm going to use a horse that's a big price for second. That's number 10, Loyal, 30-1 on the morning line. This horse, I think, needed the last couple of starts here over the Turfway surface. Was 6 beaten, 8 lengths, came back against Take Charge Khaki, and ran a pretty good race on the stretch out. First time going long, and made a move like in the far turn, like she was going to run in, and she's kind of hung. So I think she made a need of the race. She was 6 beaten, only 9 lengths, and got a decent number on the sheets. And Royal at 30-1, I think, is a must-use. Going to be a big price tonight. Now, third, number 9 on her terms. This one debuted at Churchill. Didn't take a whole lot of money, but it was a very good race. She went a 46-1, and she was 8th, beating 31 lengths. Now, I know she got beat a long ways, but she did beat 3 horses, and Grandaria, a very good horse who won that day. She came back off that long layoff and ran here at Turfway, 4th, beating 10 lengths, and she had a trouble trip. She was wide throughout, and then turning for home, she kicked out into the 7 path and just kind of flattened out. I think breeding-wise, it says that she should be more suited to go a distance of ground, and I'm going to use her third. 6, 10, 9 for me in the 8th and final. And again, that carryover in the High Five, $6,910. Well, that's how I see it for tonight. Hopefully you play along. Hopefully you make some money. And don't forget the single 6 jackpot in race 3. Now we start things off with a pick 5 in race 1, and that's in 17 minutes. And good luck.